So now we are going on to our next chapter, our next exercise 9E, and this one's broken up into two. So for this one, we're solving two-step equations with fractions in particular. So again, make sure you put your date and your heading, and let's go through the notes for this first one. So when we have two-step equations with fractions, remember that A over B is the same as A divided by B. So we will use that. And to undo a fraction, we actually need to multiply by the denominator number, okay? If we have more than one operation built around that pronumeral, so around that letter, like A or B, we do the opposite operation in reverse order for the order of operations. So instead of BODMAS, we do Sam Dob, okay? So remembering that you do addition and subtraction first, we do multiplication and division next, powers and roots, then on to any groupings last. And remember, when we are doing our equations, anything that we do to one side of an equation, we absolutely have to do to that other side of the equation. Moving on to our examples now. Let's just go in a little bit. There we go. So with our examples, we've got a couple of different types that we're going to go through. So first one we've got here, complete the following showing which operations were used. We've done one similar to this before as well. Remembering both sides have to have the same operation done to it. So in this case is multiplying by 5 because I'm undoing the division, which is D divided by 5. So to undo that, I multiply by 5. So again, I'm always trying to get that pronumeral by itself. And the way I do that is I divide by 5. So to get rid of the divide by 5, I multiply by 5. So if I do that to both sides, my 5s will actually cancel out. So this divide by 5 and multiply by 5 will actually cancel out. So I just end up with D on my left-hand side, and on my right-hand side I have 3 times 5, which gives me 15. So my solution for this is D equals 15. On to the next one. Solve the following equations systematically. So I've got 4 equals x over 7. The first thing that we want to do, and again, you can do this later, I quite like to make sure that my x, my pronumeral, is always on the left. So the first thing I would do is actually switch this equation, okay? But you can do it at the end as well, as long as you make sure that your letter equals your number. So again, we're trying to get x by itself. Currently it's divided by 7, so we do the opposite operation, which means we are multiplying by 7. And what I do to one side, I have to do the other. So I'm undoing that division. So I end up with 28 equals x, but my solution has to be written as a letter equals a number. So I need to flip this because we can do that with equations. So our solution for this one will be x equals 28. Okay, last two for our examples before we go on to worked examples. So solve the following equation systematically. We've got 6q divided by 8 equals 3. Always try to get the pronumeral by itself. So we want the q by itself. Having a look here, I've got divide by 8, so I do that first, okay? So anything that's on the top here, we do that last, okay? Just remember that. So we're going to undo that fraction by multiplying both sides by that denominator. So if I've got divide by 8, I need to multiply by 8 on both sides exactly as I have here. So this cancels out with this, and I end up just with 6q equaling 3 times 8, which is 24. The next thing I'm doing is the opposite operation of multiply by 6, which is what this means, is divide by 6. So I divide both sides now by 6. Quick as well, here is your first bonus word. Your first bonus word is pineapple. Your first bonus word is pineapple. Make sure you write that one down. Pineapple. It's spiky. So if we are getting rid of the 6 here, again, we're undoing that multiplication. So we divide by 6 on both sides, and we end up with our value for q equaling 4. Last one for examples, solve the equation we've got here. So I've got 2 over t over 2 minus 7 equals 0. So again, our whole thing is to get the t by itself. And again, if we're doing reverse of BODMAS, we're doing addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to undo the subtraction here by adding 7 to both sides, which is exactly what you see here. We then see that we end up with t over 2 equaling 7. So I have to get rid of that divide by 2 now. So I have to multiply by 2 on both sides. So now I've undone that division. I end up with my final answer of t equals 14. On to your worked examples now.